All right. Well, good morning. Oh, you can do better than that. You're in church. Good morning. Man, that was an incredible song, wasn't it? You guys, here at Zoe is so much talent. You've got the Aretha Franklin of Zoe over here. Which is, yeah. I mean, I was like, this is amazing. You have another star in Jason, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Dennis, stand up. Tell me this guy doesn't look like Al Roker. Come on, tell me. This place is a celebrity-filled environment. It is so awesome to be able to be with you guys today. What a joy it is to be with you. And I always want to pay honor where honor is due. Bishop Ed and his beautiful wife, First Lady Vanessa. Yeah. Love them, friends for years. And they get better looking with age. I don't know how you guys do it, but they do. And I cannot believe it's going to be your 70th birthday. I'm only 20. Look at this. I'm a mess. Incredible. And I want to introduce to you my beautiful wife, Laura's here. Would you give her a big hand? Just thank. She's amazing. She's like on a float. She's going like this. It's the Rose Parade. Hey, it is awesome to be able to be with you guys. What a joy it is. My name is Chris Sonksen. I'm the founding pastor of South Hills Church. We have 12 locations. And also, I'm the founder of Church Boom. We coach pastors and rescue churches. And as Pastor Joshua was talking about, America is closing more churches than it opens. We've been doing that for 10 straight years, by the way. We actually close more churches than we open here in America. 84% of churches are in decline. And we're going to talk about that at the end. I want to minister to you first. We're going to have an opportunity. We started something 3 years ago with a bunch of pastors, and now it's gone nationwide. We are rescuing churches, because how many believe if we lose churches, we're going to lose America? Am I right? And how many would agree with me? We used to always say, man, America's not the same place it was 20 years ago. America's not the same place it was 20 months ago. It's like common sense has become a superpower. Some of you get that a little bit later. And we're going to talk about how we're going to rescue some churches, how you can help me and all the pastors across the nation that are trying to rescue churches. We'll do that in just a moment. But I want to jump into God's Word, minister to you, and then I'll turn the corner at the very end. If you got a Bible, go to John chapter 5. John chapter 5. If you don't have a Bible next to you at a hotel, get one. They're free. I steal them and then I sell them on eBay. It's a side hustle I got going on. I've been married to this beautiful woman right here for 32 years. We have two amazing children. And then we have this third one. No, I'm totally playing. We have two amazing children, two granddaughters. We got to spend time with them at the park yesterday, 3-year-old, 1-year-old. How many are grandparents here? Grandparents, where are you at? Is it not the best thing on the planet? It's so much better than parenting. It's God's gift to you for you not killing your own kid. That's really what it is. I love holding my granddaughter. My adult son says to me a while back, he says, Dad, it's like you love her more. I said, no, it's not like I do. I do. I want to be very clear. You had a good run. It's over for you. So a while back, we'll jump into the Word, but a while back, I was in, quite a few years ago, I went into Costa Rica, and I wasn't on vacation in Costa Rica. There are places to go on vacation, but there's also a very third world feel in Costa Rica. And I went to Costa Rica with a buddy of mine, and we were going to speak in a couple different churches, and then we were going to do this big conference and all this stuff. We had this one day off, and the one day we went to the hotel, and I use that term loosely because it wasn't the nice area of Costa Rica. We walk up, and we went to the front of the hotel, and I said, hey, tomorrow we got the whole day and evening off. We're not speaking anywhere. I'm telling the lady at the front desk at the hotel. And she says, I said, what would you do? Me and my buddy, what would you do if you were here in Costa Rica and you had one full day and evening off? She goes, oh, definitely you want to go zip lining. And how many have ever been zip lining before here? Okay, it's where like they take a tree and then like 50 yards away is another tree. They put a cable that goes across, and then you put on this little harness, you put one little hook on it, and you zip line across. We were gonna do it at the Sarapeaky River where they filmed Jurassic Park. So it was beautiful, it was gorgeous. But it's also kind of a third world country. If you zip line in America, everything's all official. You're in sort of a third world type of country-ish. It's not all official. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll go zip lining. Sounds good to us. And it's at the Sarapeaky River, so there are ravines that are 60 stories. So when you're going across with one cable and a little, and a harness and a little zip, and then you just kind of hang on and do this, you're 60 stories in the air with one little hook. And anyway, so they're like, okay, sounds good. I said, we'll go zip lining tomorrow morning. She said, be here in the lobby at 6 and the bus will pick you up. Okay, great. So we get there at 6 in the morning in the lobby, we go on the bus. The bus got like seats like about 70 people. There's only 5 of us on the bus. I'm like, this is really odd. And so we go on a 2-hour bus ride up through the jungle. And in my mind, I'm thinking, they're going to kill us. This is what we're here to die. And so we go 2 hours up in a bus, then 1 hour in a boat ride, and then 1 hour horseback. That's how deep you are in the jungle. And that's when I keep thinking, this is a scene from Criminal Minds. The Walking Dead is about to happen here. And so we go all the way in. Now we're there. Okay, we're all set up. We get there. We finally an hour horseback ride in, and there we are. Now we're standing there, and they go, okay, put the harness on. So we put harnesses on and all this stuff. And the guy's got broken English. He goes, okay, does it fit you? Does it fit you? I said, yeah, it fits me. He goes, okay, go over there. And I asked the guy, I said, hey, we're there in the jungle. It's just like, and I said, hey, don't we need to sign anything? And he goes, for what? And I go, well, I mean, I'm thinking, what if you get sued? Like, what if we fall? And this is what I said, word for word. I said, what if we fall and we die? He goes, if you die, we leave. And I'm like, this is not turning out good. And so, again, this is kind of a third world. The harnesses are kind of a mess. It's not really a cable. It's more like dental floss. And the whole thing's a mess. So we climb this tree, and we're zip lining down to 16 runs. It takes about 3 hours, and all this stuff. I remember the guide that was with us the whole time looked so young to me. He was in charge of me, and we get up, you get to the tree, and then you put your feet on this little platform they build, and then you hook yourself to the tree, and you're just leaning 60 stories in the air. We're waiting for the rest of the group to come down, and I asked the guide, because I'm thinking, man, he kind of looks young, And I asked the guide that's standing there as we're leaning 60 stories in the air, and he's in charge of our life. I said, hey, how old are you? And he goes, 15. I go, what? He goes, 17? Like that made it better. Oh, well, now I feel good. You're 17 years old. We had an amazing time zip lining. We're done. We go back an hour of horseback, back an hour of the boat ride, and then on to the bus. It's the wettest spot in the nation, in the world. It actually rains 300 inches a year there. Constant rain. It's beautiful green, waterfalls everywhere. We're coming down this mountain, and we get stuck in the mud. And now there's 5 of us on the bus, the guy driving, and we're all trying to push the bus. Mud's flying everywhere. I don't remember reading that in the brochure. And it's just a total mess. It's an absolute, and we're stuck in the mud. They had to come get someone. It took like 3 hours to get the bus out of the mud, and we got stuck. And I just thought, man, it stinks being stuck. Have you ever been stuck before? You ever been stuck somewhere in your life, where you feel like, man, I'm stuck in my life. I'm stuck in an addiction. I'm stuck in bitterness. I'm stuck in anger. We all get there. We all get to a point where we feel sometimes a little bit stuck. I thought I would be farther along in life than I am right now. Why am I not there? Now, let me show you how this looks. Put the first one on there for me if we could. This is called life. Put it on there. Yeah, life before the wall. Keep it up there. Life before the wall. Say life before the wall. Okay, this is life before the wall. Notice how happy he is. That's you. Everything's going great. You're making money. Life's going good. Dodgers are winning. What are you into? Okay, that's life before the wall. Then The next part, life in the wall. Now the Dodgers are in the playoff and they blow it like they always do. And you're all upset, or something happens, or someone betrays you, or someone hurts you, or you get into debt and you can't figure out how to get out, or you feel stuck. I thought I'd be farther along in life, and why am I not farther along in life? And now all of a sudden you have life inside the wall. So you had life before the wall, you got life in the wall, and now here's the next one. You have two choices. Now check this out. You either stay in the wall or you get to the other side of the wall. But please understand something. There's no such thing as life before the wall. It's gone. Whatever's happened to you, whatever situation has happened, there's no such thing as life before the wall. So here's your two choices. You either stay in the wall or you get to the other side of the wall, because there's no such thing as life before the wall. Jesus, in John chapter 5, he comes walking into Jerusalem. There's gates where you walk into. I've been there. And you walk into Jerusalem, and there's a holy festival going on. The Holy Days, they called it. And Jesus decides to walk over to an area called the Pool of Bethesda. The Pool of Bethesda is actually translated the Pool of Mercy. He walks over to this pool, this water area. It's like a big pool, probably the size of the stage, because I've seen it. And here's the thing, that people would wait on the outside that were sick. They would wait on the outside, and they would wait underneath these porches. There were 5 of them. So imagine this is the pool, and there's 5 porches, kind of like shade covering. And they would wait under the shade covering, sick, paralyzed, blind, whatever. And there would be 5 porches. When the angel would come, when they saw the water bubble, they could come into the pool and they could be healed of whatever was going on in their life. So they wait under the porch, and then they come here and they try to get healed inside the water when it bubbles. Okay? And every day they would come out. If they didn't make it into the water, or for whatever situation they didn't get healed, they would go home that night, come back under, and wait underneath the porch. Jesus comes walking up to this Pool of Bethesda, the Pool of Mercy. He has a conversation with a man that I think is really unique, and I think we could get a lot out of it. Check it out. Here it is in John chapter 5. We pick it up at verse 1. Afterward, Jesus returned to Jerusalem for one of the Jewish holy days. Inside the city were the sheep gate and the Pool of Bethesda, which with the 5 covered porches. Remember the porches? Everybody waited underneath until they came up to get healed. Crowds of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, lay on the porch. One of the men lying there been sick for 38 years. Now let's stop right there, okay? Jesus walks up. Picture what it would look like. He walks up. He sees these 5 porches. One of the people under the porch is this guy that's been sick for how long? How many years? Okay, now it doesn't say that he's been coming to the porch for 38 years and trying to get into the water. But we know he'd been there for a long time. Let's say he'd been going there for 5 years. That means hundreds of times, he would come out from wherever he would sleep, okay, some little house nearby, and he'd come and he'd lay under the porch all day long. And when the water stirred, for whatever reason, he never got there in time. And so at the end of the day, he'd go back home and come back to the porch. He did this hundreds of times. And he's still sick. He, for whatever reason, couldn't get to the porch. Now, here's what it is that something, in my mind, this is what I'm thinking. Something's got to change, buddy, because your system isn't working. You come to the porch, and then you try to get inside the water. Maybe you get there late. Maybe you don't have a friend that can help you. Maybe you didn't ask someone that could help you. I don't know what the reason is, buddy, but I know this much. Your system isn't working. Everybody around you's getting healed. Everybody around you's finding victory. Everybody around you is being set free, but you're not. Something is wrong with your system, and I think it's the same thing for you and I. We come into this wall. Some of us come in here with addictions. Some of us come in here feeling stuck in debt. Probably a lot of us. Some of us stuck and feel like, man, our relationship, we're not, or I'm not where I should be in my life. I'm bitter. I'm angry because of what someone did, and I just can't seem to get out. And I got to tell you, there's part of my life that's in a wall right now. There are some people that I still have to forgive from years ago of what they did, and I still find myself wrestling with it. And I got to know this much. If I've been wrestling in for 7 years, my system isn't working. I got to fix something because the system isn't working. See, because here's the bottom line. You can't change your future until you disrupt your present. You got to change something about the present. You got to disrupt the present. The system isn't working, so you got to disrupt your present so that the future can be different. Hey, I'm in debt, and I've been in debt for 8 years. Your system ain't working. I've been bitter for 8 years. Your system ain't working. I've been addicted for 10 years. Your system isn't working. You're going to have to try something else because you got to disrupt the present in order to get over here to the future. I remember, I think a few years ago I shared with you guys that I've written several books, and one of the books was called Quit Church. And the subtitle is, Because Your Life Would Be Better If You Did. If you're a pastor and you write a book called Quit Church, there's just people that want to compliment you and encourage you. I say that sarcastically because they didn't. But I came out with this book called Quit Church, and it did really, really, really well. It went like #1 on Reddit, #1 on Amazon. It was doing really, really well. And the idea wasn't to quit church and not go to church. The idea, because your life would be better if you did, the idea was that if you go all in, God will go all out. That if you let go of what's in his hands, he'll let go of what's in your hands, he'll let go of his hands. The idea was, the whole concept here is that your life is in a wall, and you just kind of come to church, but you got to get out of that wall. That was the whole concept of the book. But of course, the title got everybody all worked up. And so they did some, Fox News did something on it. We were on Fox News and Friends. They did an article on it. It was trending #1. We had 100,000 emails in an hour when it went on Fox News. People were going nuts. It was really cool. It was awesome. It's really awesome when something like that happens, because it's like you got 8 strong days and then they forget about you. It was like my minute of fame, and then it was gone. Like, who are you? So during the hot thing, I flew to Dallas to go be on a TV show to be interviewed about the book as well. So I go over to Dallas, and I fly, and I get picked up but there's a shuttle that's taking you to the hotel. Okay, this is when the book is all kind of going along, you know. And I'm sitting in the back of the shuttle, and there's 2 ladies in front of me. And I am on my phone returning emails and texts about 10 o'clock at night. These 2 ladies in front of me, I can tell they're Christian, you know, and they're starting to talk. And then one of them says to the other, I'm sitting behind them, I'm not talking to them, I'm just doing my thing on my phone. There's 2 ladies in front of me. One of them says to the other, have you heard of this book? Then the other lady says, what book? And this lady says, Quit Church. And she holds it up on her phone. Now I'm sitting there, and I lean over like this, and I'm like, oh, that's my book. And she goes, Quit Church? What kind of book is that? She goes, I don't know. And she goes, who wrote it? She goes, apparently it's a pastor from California. I'm sitting right behind them. You can't write this stuff. She says, a pastor from California? Yeah, apparently he's a pastor. And I quote, he's not a pastor, he's an idiot. I'm sitting right behind them. They get so worked up. I mean, you know how people get worked up when they get into a conversation, and they're getting worked up. And they're all, that's the problem with America, because anybody says that's the problem with America clearly has the answers. And so they're getting all worked up, and then they turn around, like they're sitting right here and I'm behind them, and they turn around and they invite me into the conversation. This is when it's going to get good. I'm just reeling them in. And they invite me into the conversation, and they turn around, they're like, can you believe it? And I acted like I didn't know. I said, what? I'm just back here praying, you know, fasting. And I go, what? And she's all, can you believe this book? And she shows it up, and there it is, there's my book. And I go, what? And she goes, a book, it's called Quit Church. And apparently a pastor wrote it, and they're just letting me have it. And I'm like, really? A pastor wrote it? They're all, yeah. And they're all, I can't believe that. And they're getting all wound up. She goes, have you heard of the book? And I said, I have. Here it comes. And she goes, have you read it? And I said, no. I said, I'll give you one better than that. I wrote it. The other lady goes, that's not true. And I know what she's doing. She's looking for my picture. She puts it up her phone right up next to my head and goes, and she freaks out. She knows this is it. And the best part was, Bishop, this is what they said. Oh, we didn't know you were here. We wouldn't have talked about you had we known you were here. Spoken like a true Christian. We would have waited to talk behind your back like God intended. So we get off the shuttle, we get to the hotel, we're standing there, and they start talking to me and whatever. And one of the ladies begins to tell me all the struggles she had. I told her what the book was all about. And she basically told me, man, I've been inside of the wall, man. My struggle, my this, my that. My husband was abusive. I got out of that. I don't have any education. I don't have any money. But I feel like God wants me to do something, on and on and on and on and on. And I'm like, oh, man, I go, here's my email. If I can ever help you, let me know. Okay, a couple of years go by, I get an email. Hey, this is so-and-so. We're one of the two ladies on the bus. Do you remember us? And I'm like, oh, I remember you. I remember you vividly. Idiot, signed Pastor Idiot. And she says, do you remember us? I said, oh, yeah, if you go back and forth on email. Basically, I come to find out, I live in Orange County, and she says, hey, I've got I live about an hour away from where you're at, and I have an organization, and I got about 20 leaders, and I want you to come speak to them about leadership. It's kind of a thing I do. And I'm like, okay, I really didn't know what was going on. I'm like, okay, I'm going to be in the area anyway. I can come by that night and speak. I came, and there's 25 people in there, and I'm speaking. Come to find out, in the last 2 years, she went back to college, got her minister's degree. She opened up, now watch this, she opened up a home for men that are addicted to different things, and then opened up a home for women that are battered, and this was her leadership team. She's got grants coming in from the government. I speak to her leadership team. Afterwards, I said, I am so impressed. 2 years ago, you said this, that, the other thing, and here right now, she leans in and she goes, I got to the other side of the wall. At some point, you got to realize that what I'm doing isn't working. And I got to get to the other side of the wall. That may mean I need to get forgiveness. I need to remove bitterness. I need to get some counseling. I got to go back to school. I got to get some financial guidance. I'm in debt. I don't know what it is for you. But if you're in the wall, there's no such thing as life before the wall anymore. You just got two choices. Stay in the wall or get to the other side. Those are your options, man. That's it. One of the two. That's all you got. Let's go back to the story and pick it up where we left off. So Jesus comes up. The guy's been laying there for 38 years. He's been sick, probably been laying there under that porch every day, coming back to that porch for the last hundreds of days. Let's go back to the story. Let's pick it up at verse 6. When Jesus saw him, well, this is important, and knew he had been ill for a long time, he asked him, leave this up there for a little bit, would you like to get well? Is that not the most simple question on the planet? God, stop and think about that. What is it, 6 words? Would you like to get well? It's not a complicated question. There's no theology in it. Jesus just walks up to this dude that's been coming out here for hundreds of days, maybe thousands, and says, would you like to get well? It's a very simple question. But you know what's really intriguing to me? Isn't the question. Although the question's really simple, and it's really easy. Because it's a yes or no. There's no explanation needed. Would you like to get well? Yes or no. It's very simple. What intrigues me isn't Jesus' question, although it's just a simple yes or no question. What intrigues me is the man's response, because the man's response shows me why he's been laying there for years. Look what it says. Opening line. I what? There you go. Let's start with that. I can't. I didn't ask that. Do you want to get well or not? I can't. You don't understand. I can't. I didn't ask that. Do you want to get well or not? Okay, then he goes on to say, I can't, sir. The sick man said, for I have no one to put me into the pool when the water bubbles up. Next 2 words in the white. What is it? Someone else always gets there ahead of me. Someone else always gets in my way. I'd be on the other side of this wall if someone else didn't always get in the way. The man was asked a very simple question. Do you want to get well? Yes or no? Do you want to get to the other side of this wall in your life? Yes or no? Well, let me tell you. And he goes on with all these excuses. Why couldn't, this is important, why couldn't the man just simply answer the yes or no question? Why? You know why he couldn't answer the yes or no question? Because of the story he's been telling himself for years. For years he's been telling himself a story. I think you and I can do the same thing sometimes. Just get caught up telling a story. Well, let me tell you why I'm in the wall. Because of my dad when I grew up. Oh, let me tell you why, because my mom did. Let me tell you why, because my ex-husband, my ex-wife did. I didn't grow up and get free education and people just poured out money to me. We have all these reasons of why we're in the wall. Don't we all? It's a lot easier to find an excuse than a path. Isn't that true? A lot easier. And that's what he did. He just kind of was telling himself. He's just telling himself this story over and over. And he was just used to it. Here's the bottom line. It'll come up on the screen. Here's what you got to challenge the story you keep telling yourself. That man, you want to get well? Well, let me tell you why I can't. I just want to know, do you want to get well, yes or no? But it's someone else and there's another reason, and it's not really my fault. Do you want to get well? There's a reason. We do the same thing. We got to challenge the story we're telling ourselves. I'm not saying that you didn't get hurt. I'm not saying that when the person betrayed you that it didn't hurt. Or when dad left it didn't hurt. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But at some point, that story has to be over. And you just got to answer the question. Do you want to get well or not? At some point, you got to ask that question. I understand the hurt. I get it. I got my own scars, just like you. I got plenty of them. But at some point, you got to ask, man, do I want to get to the other side of this? At some point, you got to own it. We're not really good on owning things. We're really good on finding a reason. I can't. Someone else. We're not really good on owning it. And I think we're all guilty of that, including me. Quite a while back, I was in a store in an area where we have one of our large campuses, and we're pretty, a lot of people know us in that area or whatever. And this was, I don't know, several years ago. And I remember going through the little store or calling my wife, and she says, okay, we need a few things. Okay, I picked up a few things from the store on the way home from the office. I go inside the little express lane, 15 items or whatever, and I'm standing there, and I give them the items, and they ring them up, and it's like $25.87. That was like 7 items. Today, that would be an egg. Just one egg. You're not going to get a dozen for $25. I mean, that's woo. So there's like 7 or 8 items, it's $25.87. I'm okay. And she goes, oh, that little tapping thing doesn't work. You got to swipe the card. I'm like, okay. So I swipe the card. And you know what it says? Declined. How many has that ever happened to you? And what do we say? I don't know why. I got money in there. I just came from the bank. Do we all do that? And you know what they're thinking? Hey, loser, get out of the line. I did the same thing. I don't know why. I got plenty of money in the bank, blah, blah, blah. And then the lady goes, well, sir, you're going to have to get out of the line. And I'm like, ma'am, I said, I go, trust me. I go, just swipe. There's something wrong. Just swipe it. One more time. Boom, I swipe it. Declined. Now she's like, sir, you got to get out of the line. There's someone 4 people back. Pastor Chris, is that you? No, it's his twin brother, Craig. And then the manager comes over. It's a scene. I got the manager, I got the grocery clerk lady, I got 5 people in line, and I've got these groceries right here. It's a scene going. Manager, sir, you got to get out of line. I said, I know I got money in there. I just know it. I go, please just do it one more time. No, sir, you got to get out of line. I go, please, just one more time. He resets it. He goes, okay, whatever. And they're mad. Everybody, it's a scene. And the manager's resetting it. I look back down, and I realize I haven't been swiping my Chase card. I've been swiping my Chevron card. But they don't see it. It's down here like this. So I pull out my Chase card. He goes, okay, we're ready. I swipe it. It says approved. And the guy says, man, we are sorry. I said, I hope so. I have a reputation in this town, sir. You people disgrace me. Now, in full transparency and honesty, and by the way, don't you love it when a pastor says, can I be honest with you? Because I'm always thinking, what have you been doing up to this point? But in full transparency, they did it. They swiped, they said approved. I didn't even tell them. I was like, I don't want to do it. Let them feel the heat. I thought I'd get a free egg out of it or something. But I didn't do it. And I'm just telling you, I'm just like you. I don't want to admit when I'm wrong. And I think we do the same thing when it comes to being inside of the wall. It's someone else's fault, isn't it? It's something else's fault. It's not my friend got to go to college. I didn't get to go to college. My friend got the down payment for a house and got all the college paid for. He got a car. I got nothing. My dad abandoned me. Whatever. This person, this marriage, that thing, whatever. That's why I'm in the wall. But at some point, you got to just own up and say, yeah, maybe I'm in the wall because 90% of it is someone else put me here. But right now, it's my choice to live there. I'm gonna live there because it's my choice. We got to decide, do I want to live in the wall or get to the other side of the wall? But at some point, we're going to have to own it. Let's go back to what the scripture says. Let's pick up the story. I love this. Jesus told him, here we go, stand up, pick up your mat, and walk. Instantly the man was healed. He rolled up his sleeping mat and began walking. Now, why is this scripture? To me, has a little bit of humor to it. The man gives this large excuse, and Jesus doesn't even address it. He just goes, yeah, well, just stand up and walk. I think it's kind of funny because the guy's like, well, someone else gets in the way and I can't do it. And you don't understand what I've been through. And Jesus like, just stand up and walk. I get it. Just stand up and walk. Now, if I was Jesus, I'd be like, just stand up and walk, you know. But I love that, not that he's insensitive, not that Jesus doesn't love the guy. That's not even the point. The point is Jesus is almost saying, yeah, whatever you're saying really doesn't matter. Just get to the other side of the wall. Stand up and walk. You want to do it or not? That's it. No talking about the excuse or the reason. Not that he doesn't care. That's not what it's about. You're stuck in the wall. I bet a lot of us are. Maybe not every one of us, but a lot of us are. I am to some degree. And I think Jesus would sit down, listen to our heart, and let us tell him all the reasons why for about an hour and a half. And then he'd look at it and go, just stand up and walk. Just get out of the wall. You want out or not? I want out. Anybody else want out? I want out. I don't want to live on the wall. I don't want to live with that. Life's too short. I love that this guy did that. Here's the thing. Why I think it's so powerful that Jesus just said, stand up and get out of the other side of the wall. And he did. He finally responded. See, here's the reality. You don't always have the power to control, but you always have the power to surrender. You don't always get the power to control. You don't get the power to control everybody and what happened to you and where you grew up and who your dad was and who your mom was and what the ex-wife did or the ex-husband did or whatever the reason is. We don't always have the power to control, but we always have the power to surrender. We can always say, all right, Jesus, what do you want me to do? I'll stand up and I'll walk out of here. That's what we get to do. Every day, that man would come out along with many other people. They'd get under the porch, and then, whatever didn't work out, they would go back home and then come back to the porch. Every morning, you've woke up for the last 100, 200, 500 mornings, and you've picked up that bitterness and started your day. picked up that anger and you started your day. You picked up that debt, you picked up that resentment, you picked up that addiction, you picked it up and you started your day. Those guys would come back to the porch. I think it'd be amazing if we decided today, I ain't coming back to the porch again. I am not coming back to this porch again. That is for you and for all of us. We need to decide we're not coming back to the porch. And I pray whatever you need to get from this message that you would get it, and that today would be the day. Not a special Sunday, not a big old, it just was a day that Jesus came and sat next to you and said, stand up and walk. Today's the day. Today's the day that changes everything. 10 years from now, you'll be talking about April 2024 because you'll remember that day. I told you at the beginning that we have a ministry that helps churches. And we're going to show a video in just about 3 or 4 minutes, but I want to talk to you quickly about this. We started a few years ago a ministry to help churches that were dying. And because the reality is, just like we are, the church had a life before the wall. Put it on there if we have a, that's life before the wall. Did you know in the 50s and the 60s, did you know that the church population was outgrowing America's population? What that meant was more people were being saved than people were having babies. It's unreal what was happening in the 50s and 60s and then in the early 70s. But then it started to drift. Things started to change. And it's gotten worse and worse in the last 10 years straight now. This marks the 10th year. We've closed more churches than we opened. We're going in the wrong way. And if you're 45 or 50 and above, it ain't going to make any difference to you. Well, it's going to make a heck of a difference to your children and your grandchildren. Now, life before the wall. But here's a couple problems that we've had since those times. Okay, remember in the 50s, 60s, the church was outpacing in America's population. You know what the blue line represents over the last 20 years? The blue line represents, since the year 2000, the blue line represents people that go to church on a weekly basis. You know what the yellow line represents? People that no longer go to church in America. That's what's happening. You got a great church, you got great leaders. Not happening here, but it's happening in America. Here's another one real quick. Here's problem number 2. Between 6,000 to 10,000 churches in the U.S. are dying each year. Let that sink in. This next sentence. That means around 100 to 200 churches will close this week. Folks, hold on. 100 to 200 churches are having their final service right now. That's it. They're done. In America. We're becoming the next Europe. It's just happening fast. It's happening. Okay, here's problem number 3. 46% of pastors under the age 45 are considering quitting the ministry. In the last 2 years, we've been averaging 1,500 ministers quitting per month. They're just like, it's too much. They can't handle it. Next one, market data report. 76% of pastors admit to feeling inadequate for the job and need help. I told you earlier, 84% of churches are in decline or plateaued. 76% of pastors don't feel like they know what to do. So you know what we did? We saw this a few years ago. About 15 of us got inside of a room in Dallas, Texas. Pastors of very large churches. I said, hey guys, we could all go back and pastor our churches and just retire there and everything will be cool. And we're good. I'm good. You're good. But here's some problems, you guys. This is some problems. And we need to do something about it. And the result is this, put back on the screen, is now we have a church that's living in the wall. Life before the wall was we're outpacing America's population. Now we're in the wall going, this is a major problem. How do we get the church in America to the other side? So we sat with a bunch of guys a few years ago and just said, well, what if we found churches that were 20, 30, 40 people and were dying? And what if we just started coaching them for free? They're like, man, that's a good idea. And I stood up and I said, and what if we gave them resources and finances, just like an inner city church in St. Louis we just gave $15,000 to last week to keep their doors open, and their church that was about 30 is now 120 because we've been coaching them, and they're going the other way now. What if we start doing that? And what if we give away free resources and free money, and we give away free coaching? And then what if we take them all to the Rocky Mountains and we spend 4 days intensive with them and we pay for everything? And everybody in the room's like, this is awesome. How are we going to pay for it? And I said, I got no idea. But I think it's a great idea, though. And so for the last 3 years, we've been going after it. And we have seen church after church after church get rescued. Just recently, we had 130, in one day, we had 136 new churches raise their hand in America going, please rescue us. We need help. And it's happening, and God is doing amazing things. And we decided we would fund it this way. Business people and healthy churches helping the unhealthy churches. Because to me, that seems like what Jesus would do. You take the healthy bride of Christ and you help the unhealthy bride of Christ, and then all of us can actually figure this thing out together. We've been helping churches all across America, and it's been absolutely amazing. I want you to do something. We're gonna watch a video, and then I'm gonna come back up here for just 1 minute, and then we'll close, and then Pastor Jeff will close it out. I want you to grab your phone. Everybody, grab your phone. That's the thing that you've been acting like you're taking notes on, but you're texting. That thing. Oh no, Pastor, I'm looking up scripture. Yeah, where are we gonna eat? When's this guy with the big head gonna be done? I know what you're saying. Get your phone out now. Just hold on to that phone. Because in a moment, I want to give away this free book that we just launched called Reviving the Church in America. It's 11 stories from 11 different pastors in America that we've rescued. And it's them thanking you in advance for helping us. Folks, we are rescuing hundreds and hundreds of churches in America right now. And this is a book I want to give you for free, so you got to have your phone in your hand. I want you to check out this video of Pastor Muda just outside of Detroit, the inner city of Detroit. There's a church that we came along and we helped. This church was running, I don't think he says the numbers. When we met them, there were 30, 40 people. They had no money left in the bank. We gave them 10 grand to help them. I spoke to Muda 2 weeks ago, Pastor Muda. They just topped over 400 people in their church. The church was going to be dead, and it came back. Here's a story of Pastor Muda, and then I'll come right back. Keep your phone in your hand. We'll use that in a minute. Check out this video.
So my wife and I really felt called and compelled to plant a life-giving church in an area of Southwest Michigan. It was a place that most people would not be running to plant a church. It was a pretty depressed community, but the call was really so strong. We knew that this is where God was leading us. But not too long from the time we launched, we started realizing that we really didn't know what we were doing. We came into this thing with the passion, but we didn't literally come with a really healthy plan. And ultimately, it was putting a strain on our relationship as a couple. And we were at a point where we're saying, maybe it's just time to throw in the towel. My wife and I really prayed for some sort of intervention, something that could step in and help us go from where we were to where we believe that God could lead us. And that's when we were introduced to Church Boom. Through Church Boom, we were able to get a coach who worked with us one-on-one. Plenty of times I was able to bring my team into it, and he was able to coach our entire team. We were able to develop some systems that would bring us back to health. There were some processes that we were missing in how we ran the church operationally, and even really some ways that I was not pastoring effectively. Our coach really walked us through that journey of getting the church back healthy. If you want to know what a rescued pastor, a rescued church looks like, you are looking at it. There was a woman who walked into the door because she was looking for a church in the community. And at her baptism a few weeks later, she shows up with her husband, her son, a few family members there as well too. And when she went down into the water, something happened in that room. Not only was she baptized, but her daughter was baptized. Her husband, who had no intention of ever being part of a church, was baptized. Her son was baptized. Her brother-in-law was baptized. The entire family was baptized that day. And that's what a rescue church looks like. A church that is seeing new life born because of the generosity of your gifts. So thank you so much for being a part of what Church Boom is doing through your giving. It is literally rescuing not only churches, but it's rescuing lives.
So, folks, we need your help, and this is the way we do it. I want you to grab your phone, and we're going to put a QR code up there somewhere. There it is. Grab that. First of all, go ahead and get your phone out. Hit that QR code. Okay, it's going to ask for your name, your email, or something like that. I don't even know what the order is, but that's going to give you this book for free. That's going to give you this book for free. After that, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to help us? Reoccurring is what we love. $10 a month, $20 a month, $30 a month. Or, hey, a one-time gift of whatever amount. Okay? I am not a guy that likes talking about money in front of people. Ask my wife. The Lord has me here because he knows it makes me feel uncomfortable. But when we're rescuing the bride of Christ, I don't think it should be uncomfortable at all. I think it'd be something that we all get excited about. Because I think revelation requires responsibility. When you know about something, you should do something about it. And this is something we're doing. We take no admin. There is zero admin. 100% of whatever comes in can help to rescue churches. So you're going to take a picture of that. Make sure you get the free book. You're going to love this book. I'm telling you, it's like chicken soup for the soul, but from pastors, because it's their heart stories of being rescued, and it's so good. It's like 11 of those videos, but in written form. And I ask this, that you would fill that out. It'll ask you if you want to do it. And I know as well as you know that if you leave this property and say you'll get to it later today, you probably won't. So I encourage you to do it right here in this building or in the lobby and take care of it. It'll say, okay, you can put your credit card in there, reoccurring, or your debit. You can upload your Apple if you want, whatever, your information from Apple, whatever you want to do. Take a minute and do that for the sake of helping us churches across America. There are pastors giving their time all across America, leaders giving their time to rescue churches, but it all takes our funding, and it takes everybody doing something. So get the free book. It's free. And secondly, man, we really look forward to your help. If you say, man, I'm not into this whole QR code, I don't know how to hold up my phone. When you go straight out there, you'll see my beautiful wife, myself will be out there. You can grab one of these cards and just give an offering right in there if you want to do that. We would love it if you do it online, QR, because it keeps us communicating with you. We give you updates. But there's cards back there, right out there in that lobby area. Also, if you chose today to help us, and we really pray that you do, I'd love for you to grab this wristband that I'm wearing. It says, I came to the rescue. Let it be a reminder that you're not someone that stands on the sideline, but you're someone that gets activated to whatever God has and what God is doing. And so grab this to pray for us, to remember the commitment that we're all in this together. So fill that out in your time, and then make sure you get this wristband. We want you to remember to pray for us if you decided to help us today. Read those books. You'd love it. I hope you enjoyed today, man.